Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video for the 90-91 season. Trying to get the Pittsburgh Penguins to win in video game form as they did in real life. We are in the conference finals against the Buffalo Sabres of all teams. Meanwhile, Los Angeles and St. Louis battle each other. All four teams have great superstars. LA has Gretzky, St. Louis has Hall, we have Lemieux, and Buffalo has Howard. So four great players. You know that. The funny thing is, Gretzky, Lemieux, and Harachuk all were on the same line in the 1987 Canada Cup when we beat the Russians. And Brett Hall, well, he was a Canadian, but he turned American player, turncoat in our mind. So anyway, let's take a look at the 4 teams left. The Los Angeles Kings swept Vancouver, had a tough time with Edmonton. Berfuren is 6-1, Rudy 2-2, so Berfuren has taken over. Wayne Gretzky with only 11 points. He's second to Luke frickin' Robitaille. St. Louis, they swept Minnesota and Louis won in Chicago. The only loser was Cujo. Ray Andrews 6 in donuts. Patrick Blonsky started one game, got a shutout. Brett Hall 17 points. Adam Wilkes 14. Brad Brindenworth 11. Lots of players at 1 point. For us, we had a tough time with Washington. We were down 3-1 against them, but still came back to win. And then we beat the Rangers in 5. Brasso 6-2. Wendell Young 2-1. Frank Pietrangelo 0-1. Mark Recchi, Kevin Stevens, Martin Lemieux, our best point getters. Everyone who's got a point has 2 points. And Buffalo, they took care of Montreal in 7. They were in trouble, and then Boston in 6. Pupa's 5-3. Malarchuk 2-2. Darcy Wakalak has a win, even though he gave up 4 goals. Harachuk, Turgeon, and Andrzejczyk are your point scores. All right. So anyway, here are the final 4: LA, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. As is tradition, we don't do the game. We don't watch the LA St. Louis games because they're different. We will autoplay, and game 1 goes to overtime, and Los Angeles won 7-6. We ended losing for the first time to Rudy. It was a tight match. Paul McLean made it 6-6, but in overtime, it was Granado from Benning and McSorley. Gretzky did not score a point. Brett Hall had 2 goals, though. So we play game 1 against Buffalo, and we are at home. And Tom Barrasso, the former Sabres goalie, goes for us. And Clinton Malarchuk, 2 years after that scary injury with Steve Tuttle's skate. I don't really need to say more. Anyway, we have Frank Pietrangelo as our backup, and Wendell Young is our third goalie. Kitchener. Wendell Young is the Kitchener Ranger, former Kitchener Ranger. Memorial Cup 1982 champion, whereas, he's also won the NHL, the AHL, and the IHL championship. Buffalo's goalie is Darren Pupa, who actually was a Leaf at one point. The Leafs got Darren Pupa from Buffalo in the trade alongside Dave Andrzejczyk, and he was the backup to King Felix before he went to Tampa in the expansion draft, phase 2. Malarchuk, Darcy Wakalak around, and David Littman. We have Mark Recchi, great player, who would turn out to be a flyer the next season. Kevin Stevens, decent player. Yammer Yager, this is his inaugural season, the 91 season. In the NHL, Paul Coffey, Kitchener. He would go to Los Angeles, I think, by the end of the year. Well, next year. Bob Erie, Phil Bork, Mario Lemieux, coming off injury. Joey Mullen from Hell's Kitchen. Randy Gilhan from West Germany. The last season you could say that. You have to say Germany from now on. Said Zalewski, even though he's not supposed to be on our team, he technically is in Hartford. Scott Young, great player. Brian Trottier, first year out of Long Island. Troy Loney, Yuri Herdina. Ironically, we faced Tony Tanti, who we had for a while, and then Buffalo. Who did we get from Buffalo? I don't think we got anyone. Anyway, Barry Pedersen, I don't know why he's on our roster. Larry Murphy, Paul Stanton, Gordy Roberts, Peter Tangolini, Ronnie Francis, yeah, that guy, and Alf Samuelson picked up from Hartford. Buffalo has Dave Andrzejczyk, great Leaf. Pierre Turgeon, their main scorer, Dale Hawerchuk, who the Jets traded to Buffalo for Phil Helsley. Alex McGillney, first full season in the NHL, I believe. Rick Pfeiffer, 50 goal scorer for the Leafies. Benoit Hogue, a future Leaf. Christian Rutu, so many use. Mikko Makala. Louis Krupp from West Germany as well. Dave Snuggerland, Mike Hartman, Grant Ledger, defenseman Rob Ray, The Goon, Darren Shannon, Mike Ramsey, American Ice star for the American team in 1980. Dougie Bodger, Dean Kennedy, Donnie O'Dutt, youngster Ken Sutton, Kevin Haller, Lou Franceschi, Tony Tanti, and that's all. The non-goalies. Much into the game. Buffalo has a chance and no goal. 3 minutes later, Lindsay and a 5-minute pager on Buffalo. Benoit Hogue. So we can score as many goals as we can in 5 minutes. Just Bill the Frill from Francis and Gilhan makes it 1 minute press. Chance? No. And we can't do it. Last moment. Gilhan trying to make it 2, but no. Pittsburgh 1-0. It's a battle of Germany with Gilhan and Krupp. 3 minutes later. Buffalo Jetskin, Duck. 4 minutes later. They have Jetski or Snoogulin finally scores a goal in the playoffs to Anthony with the assist. Sticking his tongue out at us. 2 minutes later. Ouch. 4 minutes later. The Jetski or Mike Ramsey his first of the playoffs from Turgeon and Bodger. Miracle on Ice, baby. 2 minutes later. Solapsky. And they score Uwe Krupp from Sutton and Howardchuk. He's showing his fellow German Gilhan how it's done. 2 minutes later. We're down 3-1 to Buffalo. Well, we did lose game 1 the last 2 rounds. So, if anything, we might have another L on our football check. 3 minutes later. Tony and Pittsburgh. Even Stevens. Damn it. Ugh. Okay. Chance 5. No. Kind of really upset. 4 minutes later. Nothing. Much later. He came in like a racky ball. All he wanted was to score some goals. That's a 7 from Muller and Yager. We gotta do something. And fast. Nope. They scored a goal, but not 2. Buffalo Kachut. Man, they're making a Cinderella run there. Out of the 16 teams that made the playoffs, they had the 12th most points. Only Hartford, Minnesota, T-Dot, and Vancouver had fewer points than Buffalo. Man, oh man. Game 2. Los Angeles is now halfway home. Re-ended losing to Rudy. St. Louis goals by Hall, Cavallini, Basson, Hall, and Basson. 2 goals from Brett Hall. LA goals by Duchesne, Taylor, Sandstrom, Gretzky even scoring goal. Sandstrom, Gretzky. Gretzky with a hat trick at the right possible time. Los Angeles halfway home. Our game 2 and a new change. Malarchuk back in the net. Peter Angelo for Pittsburgh, trying something new. 4 minutes later. They score! Rob fucking Ray from Anderchuk and Turgeon. Are you kidding me? Of all fucking people. 3 minutes later. Chance. 3 minutes later. As for Buffalo, they score! Turgeon from 5 and Anderchuk 2-0. Oi. 4 minutes later. Much later. Buffalo Kennedy. They score! Oh, no. How are we losing to these guys? Fucking knackers. 4 minutes later. Anderchuk scores from Howardchuk. It's 3-0. The Woodchuck brothers. Chuck, Wood. Much later. The clock. They don't want us to get back in the game. Well, they're up 4-0. Rob Ray. How the hell is Rob Ray scoring goals? Peter Angelo, you nincompoop. And Rick 5 scores. Finally scoring a goal. Rob Ray now has 3 freaking points in this game. Well, Wendell Young's coming in. 5-0. Really? Damn it. Lemieux up by her. Goal. We're dead. Ledyard with the hit. From Bork and Fury makes it 5-2. And in the end, it's over. Score 2 goals in the third period, but lose the game 5-2. Yeah, we keep scoring the goals in the third period, but Buffalo hangs on again. and Rob fucking Bray with 2 goals. We don't deserve to make the Stanley Cup Finals, losing to Rob fucking Bray. Game 3 sees the Kings win 6-4. Rudy beats Cujo. St. Louis was up 3-0. Hall, Oates, and Quinn. It was like, yeah! Late goal by Brett Hall to make it 4-2. It was like Brett Hall is on fire. The Kings scored Donnelly, Jay Miller, Tonali, Blake Robitaille. Gretzky with 2 assists. But the Kings are now 1 win away from knocking off those pesky St. Louis Blues. 3 versus 7, 5 versus 12. We're in trouble. And Barrasso back in the net, but the big news is Buffalo will have to start Darcy Wakalak due to injury. So Malarchuk is not playing Game 3. We could do it. I mean, after all, we did come back from 3-1 down. 3 minutes later, they score. Much later. Coming good for Lakers. Anderson. And then left hold from Holler and Coop. How are we losing the game? We're down 3-0. Well, the Blues are up 3-0, so we could do it. Right? In the box. Score. Ricky. We're killing the clock. Steve Kennedy from Harrison about the 4-0. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I just don't get it. Wait a minute. Put Young in. That's right. They finally scored their third goal. 5-0. No simulator. And Solapsky scores from Francis and Recchi. Like that matters. And Trottier finally getting a goal. There's Brian Trottier. There's the playoff leadership we need from Tankalani and Francis. 2 minutes later, Coffee trying to score again. 3 minutes later. Well, we're fucked. And LA beats St. Louis 7-5. Rudy beats Jablonski. St. Louis was up 4-1. Oates, Hall, and Quinn. It was like, yes, St. Louis back in it. But then they gave up. And then, well, not 5-5, but LA goes by Sandstrom, Duchesne, Alec, Sandstrom, Robitaille, Sandstrom. And the LA Kings are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Blues can't believe it. Riandu 6-2, Kudrow 1-2, Jablonski 1-1. Brad Hall 31 points, and he's not going to the final. And now that are we, Buffalo wins in overtime. We were up 4-3. Anderchuk scored late, and then Turgeon, Barrasso losing to Malarchuk. Anderchuk and Howardchuk scoring the goals. And the Sabres are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. They were terrible. They were 12th out of the 16 teams, 5-4. Well, we knew we were fucked. Brazel 6-5, Wendell 2-1, Pietrangelo sucked 0-2. Recchi 21 points, Stevens 15, Lemieux for only 12 points. So yeah, Mark Recchi was just damn good. I think we just ran out of time. How did we do against Buffalo in the regular season? We won in overtime in Buffalo. We won in Buffalo again, so we were 2-0 in Buffalo. We beat Buffalo 7-2, 3-0. We played Buffalo 3 times. And we were 3-0 against those guys, and we couldn't even win one fucking game. How did Buffalo do that? Buffalo 38, 35, and 7, 83 points for third place. We had 93. Brett Hall, 19 goals. Robitaille and Sandstrom have to have a great series to tie that mark. Points wise, Hall's at 31, Oates at 22, Recchi 21. Howardchuck's got the most points, 20 points by a player still around. Gretzky only has 19. Only. Pupa, Buffoon, Belfort, the 3 goals. But Pupa will probably be facing Buffoon. I didn't see Pupa at all. LA Buffalo in the final. Game 1, LA crushed at 6-1 as Pupa losing to Buffoon. Benoit Hogue scored, but LA 6 straight goals. Gretzky, Granado, Taylor, Gretzky, Duchesne, Robitaille. Gretzky with 2 goals, 2 assists, proving that he's not dead in the water. Buffalo wins 4-1 as Malarchuk beat Rudy. Makala, Darren Shannon with 2 goals, Howardchuck scoring, and then Sandstrom for Janelle and Blake. Buffalo wins in overtime. Odette at 6:40 from Hogan for Shadity. Malarchuk beat Rudy. Game 4, Buffalo wins again as Malarchuk beats Rudy. So Buffalo, how the hell are the Buffalo Sabres 1 win away from winning the Stanley Cup? LA goals by Granado and Alec Ray, Howardchuck. So the Buffalo Sabres would win, are probably going to win the Stanley Cup. They have to. They did. 7-3, Waka Waka. So the Buffalo Sabres took care of the LA Kings in 5 games. So the Buffalo Sabres are the Stanley Cup champs. You don't make that shit up. Buffalo does it. How the hell did they stop Gretzky? Well, Los Angeles, their final stats. Rudy 6-6. Bethune was 7-1. He should have been playing more. Well, they took care of Vancouver in a sweep. They took out Edmonton in 7. They were actually, weird thing was LA almost went 12-0. But then they lost to Buffalo. Gretzky with 26 points. Not half bad, but not like Brett Hall. And the Buffalo Sabres, the champion Buffalo Sabres, used 3 goalies. Malarchuk 8-2, Pupa 5-4, and Wakalak 3 for 3. Unreal. They didn't need Pupa at all. They had Malarchuk. They took over Montreal in 7. They actually were down 3-2 to Montreal, if memory serves me right. Took care of Boston in 6, and then swept us. And then took care of LA in 5. You know what? Buffalo did the weirdest thing. Buffalo did the weirdest thing. They won a series in 4, a series in 5, a series in 6, and a series in 7. Not in that order. Howardchuck 27 points, Andrzejczyk 23, Turgeon 22. Donald Odette had a goal. I think he scored against us, didn't he? But anyway, yeah, goal scoring. Robitaille was 6 goals short of Hall. Points wise, Howardchuck got to 27, but Hall was at 31. Bethune, Malarchuk, and Belfort. Imagine if Bethune played more. Yeah, Wendell Young had a better goals against than Brasso. So 3-1-2 versus 3-1-5. 5-6. And Pupa was 4th. Belfort was 3rd. Yeah. Man, oh man. Can't believe it. 41 wins and it gets you nowhere. We took out those pesky Rangers in the second round and then we get our butts handed to them? Really? Well, that's a rarity. But anyway, we'll be back. There'll be a new season coming up. 91-92. We're celebrating the 75th anniversary of the NHL. We will. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond to do.